Welcome to Inner Light, where we uncover the stories behind success and the soul within strategy. Today, we are joined by Rachel Allen, a sharp-minded marketer, storyteller, and founder of Bold from the Blue Copywriting. With 16 years of global experience, she's mastered the art of making business deeply human while keeping it brilliantly strategic. Welcome to the show, Rachel. It's such an honor to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What a lovely intro. I feel quite flattered.
So, Rachel, you've been running a business for over 16 years now. What was the moment you realized entrepreneurship wasn't just a job, but your calling?
Ooh, well, it was actually 3 or 4 years into running my business. I had started off doing it just as something to pay the bills. I really thought that I was going to go back and get like a full-time employment job. And I remember the exact moment, actually, because I was living on this island in Greece. And from the outside, everything looked so perfect. I was like living on the Greek island, sunbathing on the beach all day. People were bringing me orange juice in the morning. And I was so anxious the whole time because I was like, well, this isn't the plan. I didn't plan to run my own business. And maybe what if I fail? Do I really want to go all in on this? And I eventually decided that, yeah, I really did. And ever since then, I haven't even looked back.
Well, that's amazing. And did that realization feel empowering or terrifying at first?
I think equal parts of both. It was terrifying because I never thought that I would run a business. I am just horrible at like math and anything to do with that. And all of my background was in journalism and literature. So I had a lot of, I don't even know if it would be imposter syndrome, whatever's below imposter syndrome, where it's like, it would never have occurred to me that I could do this. But it was one of the most challenging things I had ever done. And I really, really love a challenge. And so when that was the deciding factor for me, I was like, this seems harder than anything else I've ever done before. So I'm going to try it.
I love that honesty. It shows how purpose and fear often grow side by side before confidence blooms.
Yes, absolutely.
And marketing sometimes feels manipulative. Yet your approach is described as human-centered. What does it truly mean in practice?
So I love that you brought this up because I think marketing can be very manipulative. And I think we've seen so many phases that it's gone through over the past decades where people are like, oh, but if you use this phrase, then it will make people buy things. Or if you use this sequence of emails. And we're seeing that that's not working. So the reason mine is human-centered is because I've just never been all that interested in trying to do a game where I like beat somebody with marketing copy until the dollars fall out. I just really like people and I want to talk to them like people. And that seems to be the most effective thing. And even if you look at like the history of marketing, the very original marketers back in the 1920s and 30s when mass marketing was becoming a thing, they did studies and they found that if you speak to someone like they're an actual person who is just as smart and competent and complex as you are, it actually tends to work much better than if you do the really short return, like clickbaity type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And have you ever had to turn down projects that didn't align with your ethical compass?
I have. Actually, one of my very first clients, I really agonized over it because I had worked with this person for quite some time. And they started doing some things in their business that I thought was really unethical and very manipulative to their clients. And I knew I couldn't be a part of it, but it was also really scary because that was like my main paycheck at the time. But when it came down to it, I was like, I can't be responsible for somebody mortgaging their house to work with this person or, not being around their kids. I just can't have that on my conscience.
Yeah, that's powerful. How saying no can sometimes be the boldest marketing move of all.
Oh, it was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And it did pay off eventually in that people heard that I had stopped working with this person and, maybe they'd had some bad experiences. And so they felt they could trust me more. But I absolutely didn't expect that. I expected to be out of business by the end of the year. And I figured I would just figure something else out.
Yeah. And you've worked with clients over 21 countries.
Yeah.
How has the global perspective shaped the way you tell stories that resonate universally?
So I think that I was very lucky in that I founded this completely backwards. I didn't intend to go into marketing, but I was living in Hong Kong and I needed a quick job. So I ended up taking an online job. And since I had that job and I was like, well, I could live anywhere, I just sort of did that for the next 10 years. I moved like every 6 months, and that's how I ended up working with people all over. But what that has shown me is that while there are different marketing conventions and there's different marketing timelines, so for instance, the UK tends to run about 6 months behind the US, but no matter who you're talking to, we all ultimately care about the same things, like we want to feel safe in our homes. We want to spend time with people we love. We want to feel good about ourselves. And these really basic motivations are what really underlies all marketing, because it's like, hey, I can help you get this. I can help you solve this problem. I can help you feel better. And I think I just feel very lucky in that I've been able to experience this from so many different angles and see that really it's just a matter of a different perspective, I suppose, but it's all the same core motivations.
Yeah, totally. And do you think emotional truth travels far further than cultural familiarity?
Ooh, I absolutely love this question. I have never thought about it, but I really do think that's the truth. Because if I think about it, I mean, I'm not overly familiar with the culture of, say, Belgium, but I've worked with companies in Belgium and had some very successful marketing campaigns. Or, similarly, Australia, Kenya, all this stuff. I've never lived in these places and I don't know them. Like, I don't have that felt sense of the culture. But I do know that emotionally, the same things tend to resonate with us over and over again. And you can see this, just how people respond to different interactions in their lives,
Yeah, like that's such a great insight because it reminds us that authenticity speaks every language.
Oh, that's social media. Pull that right there. That's that little mic drop for sharing it. That was beautifully said.
So, and yeah, well, brands achieve major launches and like recognitions. What's one marketing myth you wish every entrepreneur would let go of?
Hmm. Well, the one I talk about all the time is something that I call the big lie of marketing. And the big lie of marketing is that you, as an individual person or a small business, can and should do the same level of marketing as a multinational organization. And we see this all the time. In all the marketing courses, it's like, well, you need to post every day on all of these different platforms, and you should be emailing all the time. And if you don't have a nurture campaign, what are you doing? And if your website is outdated, oh my God. But the thing is, these things I've worked with companies and I've worked with teams that have like large marketing teams all focused on these goals, and they still sometimes can't do it. And so to expect an individual person who's just doing this by themselves to be able to keep up at that level is just cruel. But of course, it's always formatted as, if you can't do it, then there's some sort of failure on your part, or you don't want it badly enough, or whatever. And so what I always tell people is just like, look, you do not have the marketing budget or personnel of Coca-Cola. It is unfair to expect yourself to market like that. So instead, you need to choose the things that work for you and do only those and forget about everything else.
Yeah, 100%. And is success today more about visibility or about depth of connection?
Mm. So I think it's a little bit of a chicken and egg question, because you have to be a little bit visible to begin with to get the connections. But one thing I'm really seeing a lot of these days, particularly in reaction to everyone just being so flooded with marketing all the time, is that people are making the decisions that really matter in their business in small friend groups. So they're texting in signal loops, they're talking in Voxer chats, they're having private email conversations with their friends. And that's one reason why sales cycles are taking longer, because they're relying on that depth of relationship they have with people to make that decision. So what I tell my clients when they come to me and they say, like, why is nobody buying my thing? I tell them, it's probably because their friends don't like you. And that's what you need to work on first, so that then when they go to that signal loop and they're like, hey, does this person sound legit? Should I work with them? Then they get that feedback.
I love that distinction. Like, it reframes growth as something that expands inward before it grows outward.
Mm-hmm.
And also, entrepreneurship can be isolating and consuming. How do you protect your own creativity and energy while building for others?
Oh, I didn't do it at all for like the first 15 years. No, I guess maybe 10. But I learned the really hard way that if I don't do my own work, then the work that I do for everybody else is of lesser quality. So something I do now is I take a week off at the end of every quarter to just go away and like plan and think. I also work very specific hours during the week. And when I'm not working, like I don't have my phone with me. I don't look at email. Nothing comes into my brain that has to do with work. And I also just read a lot. I make sure that I have time to read. I make sure I have time to walk around and like stare at the forest. I spend a lot of time talking with friends. And so I basically try to fill up my non-work time with things that I enjoy more than work. Otherwise, I would just do it forever because it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
And has burnout ever taught you something that success couldn't?
Oh my God, yes. The 3 times I think I've been through burnout, what it taught me, because it takes me a minute to really grasp it, is that I just can't bend the laws of space and time as much as I really wish I could. I work really fast, and I like to think that I can do more in a day than is humanly possible. And what I learned through that is it's actually a way of avoiding something I'm uncomfortable with. And I really had to look at what was driving this motivation to work all the time and to never feel like anything was good enough. And, it's the same things that I think so many of us are afraid of. It's a fear that we're not safe. It's a fear we're not good enough. It's a fear we're not loved. And when you finally look at those things and you realize, oh, you know what? There's no amount of money I can make, or there's no amount of websites I can write. There's no amount of books I can write that is going to make me feel that way. And then it's like, oh, man, then I actually have to do the internal work and deal with it that way.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Like how even burnout can become a quiet mentor when we learn to listen.
Yeah. I mean, I hated it all the way through. I went through quite an intense period of burnout several years ago. And the most that I could do was a couple hours of work a day. And then I would spend the rest of the time walking around outside. There's a cemetery near my house, and I love walking in that cemetery. And I would just walk up and down and up and down. And it felt like it was enough movement to make me feel like I was actually doing something, even though I wasn't working. But I was just so uncomfortable with that amount of stillness.
Yeah, I get that. So thank you, Rachel, for sharing that brilliance and vulnerability behind your journey. And to everyone listening, may you remember that the best businesses aren't built on hustle alone. They're powered by heart, integrity, and a little spark of inner light.